Hello everyone and welcome to Selective Preparation Power Thinking Skills Test 37. In this video we are going to look at the 10 questions that we have selected from this test for the thinking skills portion. Let's start with the first one. This first question was an unstated assumptions questions. So Mason and John are having an argument about the importance of wearing soccer cleats, and we want to figure out what the error is in John's reasoning. So Mason first states that soccer cleats help you kick the ball harder. Now John says, I disagree. And his rebuttal, his reasoning is because he scored 3 goals last week not wearing cleats, and this week when he wore cleats he only scored 1 goal. Now, what is the issue with John's reasoning? Well, he has disagreed. Disagreeing with Mason's argument means that he must supply some additional evidence that directly goes against Mason's arguments about kicking the ball harder when you wear soccer cleats. Unfortunately, John's evidence is not about kicking harder, rather it's about scoring more goals. That's why the error in John's reasoning is actually to do with his evidence, okay? And that scoring goals doesn't necessarily mean that you can't kick the ball harder. That's why option B is the correct answer for question 1. You can have a look at the solutions here for more information as to why the other ones are incorrect as well. Number 2 was a making inferences question. So historians are not sure if King Arthur was a real historical figure. Which of the following can be implied? Now the word not sure means that there is evidence both for and against. If you are not sure about something, about a fact, that means there is some information that tells you that it could be true. There is most likely also some information that tells you that it couldn't be true as well. It might not be true. So which of the following can be implied? Answer option A is the correct one. Okay, there's nothing in the statement that will conclusively prove any of the other ones. So the myth of King Arthur originating from Britain, not a real king, so on. All of the other options cannot be assumed just from that one statement alone. So A is the best option here. And again, you can look at the solutions for more information. Oops. Okay, number 3. So we have dealt with questions like this in the past, and usually they come with 2 differing points, and you have to compare the 2 companies or the 2 things that we're interested in on these 2 bases. The first one this time is the weight of the parcels, the maximum weight. And you can see that 8,000 grams is the same as 8 kilograms, so that is not a comparison point. We must be comparing on the second fact, which is the delivery lateness. So straight away we can cancel out A and C because we're not comparing with the weight of the parcels. Now, they usually try and make the 2 statements in different units or different forms, so you have to figure something out. We know this one is 97% of the time on time. Company B is 1 out of 20 times late, which is 5% late. That means that it will be on time 95%. Now that we have it in the same form, we can see that company A would be delivering more on time, okay, more percentage of the time. So that's why B is the correct answer for question 3. Number 4 was a times and rates question. You have to realize that both A and B are actually traveling the exact same distance, namely 2 kilometers, but the only difference is that they are traveling at different speeds. A is going to go faster because they are traveling downhill, and B is going to be a bit slower because they're traveling uphill. To figure this out, we can use the arrow method. We know that it's this person A will travel 6 kilometers in 1 hour. So if you want to travel 2 kilometers, how do we get from 6 to 2? I divide by 3. So you're going to do the same to the other side, divide it by 3, and you get 1/3 of an hour, i.e. 20 minutes. Now for B, they are traveling at 4 kilometers per hour. Remember, it's the same distance though, 2 kilometers. So you divide it by 2, do the same thing to the other side, and you actually get half an hour, which is 30 minutes. Now what that means is by the time that A has finished their trip, there'll still be some left to go. So the question is asking how many minutes later would B reach the top as opposed to A. To do that, you just do 30 minutes minus 20 minutes, and you get 10 minutes, or option D. All right, number 5. For these patterns questions, okay, where you have to color in with the smallest number of colors, you want to always start with the minimum possible. We know that one color will not be enough because as soon as you do the first one, if you do red and red, it's already going to defy the rule. So we need at least 2 colors. Let's start with red and blue. Okay, so you want to go red, blue all the way around for this first layer, because that would ensure that none of the colors are touching with the same color. So we have 2 so far. Now comes the issue. With this middle one, since it's touching both blue and the red, it needs to be a completely different color. So I'm going to call that green. We have G, 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 G. We still don't have any touching so far. Now, looking at the next inside triangle, this one. So it can't be green, but it can be red or blue. Okay, hopefully you can see that. So I'm going to just put red in all of them, and it's fine because it won't be touching any other reds. And now the inner one, I can do blue, 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 blue. Now this innermost one, I can go back to red, or I can even go green. Oh, sorry, not green. Let's go green, red, so that they're not touching each other. So I've used a total of 3 colors here, and that's why the answer is B. Okay, when they ask you for the smallest number, always start with the minimum you can and build up as you need to. Number 6, drawing a conclusion question. So for these, we always look for our key words like this one, therefore. That tells us what the conclusion of this passage is. So therefore, it is foreseeable that in the future, computer graphics will continue to improve. Remember that we are looking at films. There's a lot of words to do with films and computer graphics and movies and media, okay? And there's been decades of innovation, but the main idea is in that last sentence. So which of the following would best be supported? The answer here is D. The use of computer graphics in film in a field is still rapidly developing. Rapidly developing is synonymous to continue to improve, and we are talking about computer graphics and in the film field, which is talked about multiple times here, movies, films, media, and so on. So this option is best supported because there are so many clear links to the main ideas we've highlighted. So D is the best option. Right, number 7, counting and 3D shapes. So we have a stack of glued blocks. We want to make sure that we can make this into a cube without removing any blocks. To do this, we want to figure out what the actual cube volume is, okay? And we want the least number, so the smallest possible cube we can make. To do that, we have to look at the largest side, and you can see it here. It's actually either side, but it's 6, right? So this cube has to be a 6 by 6 by 6 cube, which means that it's made out of 216 cubes. Now we're going to count how many are here already. And how I like to do that is by rows. This first top row will have 2. And then this next row, we have 6 at the back, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then this next row here, we have a 3 by 6, which is 18. This next row, we have 3 by 6 plus an extra 4, which is 22. This next row, we have a 4 by 6, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. And this last row, or this last layer, has a 6 by 6, which is 36. If you plus them all together, you get 116. Now what we do is minus what we have from what we want. And we get 100 blocks as our answer, which is option B. Okay, question 8. For circles, there are some special rules we have to remember, okay? In this case, we are looking at the sector, i.e. a segment or portion of this circle. When we look at a pie, okay, if I want half the pie, how many degrees of the pie am I going to cut? I'm going to cut 180, right? Same as a quarter, I'm going to cut 90 degrees of the pie. Now, why is that a quarter? Well, you're essentially putting that degrees over the total. And what was the total revolution of a circle? It's 360 degrees. So you're essentially doing the dimension or the angle over 360. In this case, it's 60. So that means that you are actually shading 1/6 of the circle. Now they've been very nice to us and given us the whole area is 42 square centimeters. We want to find the unshaded sector. So if this shaded sector is 1/6, then the unshaded sector must be 5/6. So you want to do 5 over 6 times 42. You want to divide first, 6 and 42, they cancel, get 7. Now you multiply across. 5 by 7 is 35 square centimeters, and that's where the answer is B. Okay, we're detecting reasoning error in this next question. So this whole paragraph was to do with flight and birds, and they are saying that ratites or flightless birds, that birds that can't fly, should no longer be classified as birds because flight is a trait that is characteristic. Oh, let's highlight that. Flight is a trait that is characteristic to birds. So essentially they're saying things that fly will make it a bird. Anything that flies will make it a bird. So to find the flaw, you can think about it this way. Is everything in this world that flies a bird? No. And what are some examples? Other animals, right? Like insects, like bats, and so on. Other animals that have the ability to fly are not birds. Therefore, this flight characteristic is not a trait that is unique and only applies to a bird. So ratites can still be considered birds even though they cannot fly. So that's why A is the answer here. You can have a look at this to see why the other ones are incorrect. Okay, last one. So for matching argument questions, this is a very formulaic kind of question, okay? You replace all of the variables or the people's names or the activities that are being done with letters to find the actual skeleton or the structure of the argument. So if Jem, person, wants A, receive a new box, Xbox, she must do B, clean up her room. Jem, the person, wants A. Therefore, or so, she does B. Option C has the closest structure to that. If Troy wants A, he must do B. Right? He wants to qualify Olympics. He must train 5 times a week. Troy, he definitely wants A. Therefore, he will do B. By doing this and by simplifying the actual argument, it makes it really easy for you to see clearly what the structure is and why C is correct. Okay, so to wrap this up, we are quickly going to look at some takeaways. So I'm going to start with that matching argument question, okay? For these questions, I want you to simplify the given statement, okay? By replacing the variables with letters, okay? So by variables, I'm saying like people's names, activities that they're doing, objects, and so on. Those things that are in between, okay? This will leave you with a clear skeleton, okay, or a clear structure that you can compare with the answer options. Now, another takeaway I want to talk about are circles, okay? For circle questions, I want you to brush up on the key concepts we have learnt about circles. Okay, so this includes, we have area, we have circumference, okay, we have sectors, how we find out the sectors, okay, and we have angles in a circle, and this can even extend to radius, diameter, all of these words. I want you to know what that mean. And lastly, 3D shapes that incorporate circles. So things like spheres, okay, or even cylinders, and even cones, okay. So think about the base as a circle. And circles are very important in that sense that they apply to a lot of things, and you need to be confident on solving each of them. So if you're not sure, please try and tick off each of these tasks and try and revise how to do them and how to do those questions. So that's actually it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you next week for the next one. Take care.